finally here. The update that takes us out of the unofficial live beta. The update that should have made this game Game of the Year. The update that solos your favorite video game while being blindfolded and having no limbs. The long-awaited December patch to Sparking Zero has finally released, and that is what everyone online is saying about this patch. Allegedly, it completely fixes the game. Now, I have remained completely spoiler-free about all the changes in this patch. So today, what I wanted to do is go over all these patch notes and discuss them, and in the background will be some ranked gameplay, so hopefully you guys can see some of the patch's changes in action. Now, before we get into it, I did just want to say, if I'm talking a little bit weird in this video, or like with a different, I don't know, connotation to my voice, this is my first video back after having my wisdom teeth removed, so I still have like sutures in my mouth and like giant holes that are stitched together, so like that's the reason I'm possibly talking weird. Hopefully it shouldn't actually matter, but let's actually get into these balance changes. So like I said, I have not read these patch notes at all. The only two things I know that were changed is the first thing here that's actually in the patch notes, which is that all stages are now available in offline player 1 versus player 2 battles, which is so nice for me because honestly, I probably play about like maybe a quarter of my total playtime in this game. I play that locally with my friend, like sitting on my couch. So it is amazing that I no longer have to fight in the hyperbolic time chamber because God, that stage was getting so old so fast. And the second change that I do know about is that they increased like the time it takes to build up a skill counter like meter, which I think is good, but that kind of depends on the rest of the changes. So we're just going to go in order here. The functionality adjustments, the battle setup, a function allowing you to change a character's display method has been added. I don't know what that means at all. Is that like, I'm pretty sure I saw that they did something new with like the character selection, which like good, that character selection was so lacking in so many things. I don't know if that's maybe for costumes or if that's like a team roster or something. It says the My Sets function has been added for team members. Again, it sounds like that's something to do with costumes. I don't really know. Ranked and player match, you can now skip the intro battle animations. Requires both players to input the skip command. Thank God. I don't know how this wasn't added in the very beginning of the game. This is a feature that Fighters has had for maybe forever. I don't know if this was the thing they implemented too late, but like Fighters has had that. I'm not sure how this game didn't release with that, but it's here now, so that's cool. Player match, you can now set your team to hidden or revealed to your opponent when editing your team. Okay, I mean that's fine. The player match system, like that whole like pseudo system of not being ranked but like still playing online, needs a lot of adjustments, which hopefully we'll see here. That wasn't really one I think a lot of people were concerned about, but I guess that could be cool. Custom battle mode text can now be sorted alphabetically. All right, that's a good change. Options, you can now set battle camera distance to be closer. To be closer is interesting. I don't know why you would ever want it to be closer, but I guess it's cool that they're thinking about that, because maybe that means you can also have it like set for different orientations too, maybe in the future. I don't know. I don't know who asked that to be closer though. That's so weird. Now we get to the good stuff though. Here is the battle system adjustments, which I think is the longest section on this patch. But we got the high speed Dragon Dash has a new action. The new quick movement action, high speed Dragon Dash, where you can quickly move towards your opponent, has been added. Perform with an R2, so key, and then holding X, which is your attack button. I guess on standard controls, right? I'm pretty sure. So is this a replacement for the regular Dragon Dash? And I'm saying Dragon Dash, I think that's the name of the move. Honestly, I could be completely wrong. But what I'm talking about is on classic controls where you hold key and then press X twice and then you like, you know, dash behind your opponent. Is this new high speed Dragon Dash, is that like replacing the button command to perform that? Or is this a completely new thing? I'm not too sure. Smash attack, you will no longer be stunned when being hit by a rush key blast when charging a smash attack, and when charging smash attacks during a rush attack, charge time reduced based on the hit count has been increased. Interesting. So the first thing there, no longer stunned when being hit by a rush key blast. A rush key blast, does that mean like when you dash and do a key blast and it throws like multiple? That sounds like a pretty good change. I personally love spamming smash attacks. I think they're very fun. So maybe I'll need to use a little bit more strategy when doing them. That's totally fine. And then when charging smash attacks in a rush attack, it's interesting that they reduced the charge time based on like the hit count, because doesn't that mean, well, I mean, for combos, first off, that is great because that probably means you can maybe extend your combo if you get like a perfect smash after you already been a little bit into a combo. But I wonder how dynamic, I guess, that like charge time reduction is, because that could kind of mess up a lot of people. Like if I have a 100 hit combo, is it going to instantly charge a smash attack, or if is it like, do I need like 5 hits and then it's like 5% faster to get like a perfect smash or something? That's going to be fun to test, but I think that's a good change for combos. For the rush ki blast, the time between being able to fire the next rush ki blast after firing the maximum consecutive amount at once has been increased. Okay. And yeah, that does confirm my thing earlier. The rush ki blast is, I think, the hold down ki blast. So what they're trying to do with this change is stop that like infinite hold down and like walk towards your opponent with the ki blast, which, you know what? I'm okay with that. I think that was funny, but yeah, you know what? Fair enough that they increased the time between those. Rush ki blast deflection. You can now move while deflecting rush ki blast. I thought you could always do that. Was I wrong? Could you not deflect a charged ki blast if you were moving? Okay. I mean, fair enough, I guess. Steps. You will now no longer be able to be hit by certain attacks immediately after performing a step. Okay, so what that means is step invulnerability time has been lengthened or possibly added. I don't know if that actually ever had real invincibility. And then ki blast rushes and smash ki blast can also be evaded. That's cool. So sidestepping is going to be probably a lot more meta than it is now, which I'm okay with. Hey, what's up? This is Future Tetsyumi. So I was thinking about this point a little bit more, and I was wondering, is this in correlation with Trunks and Tapion, where if you dash during a Z counter or a Vanish War, then the opponent can't hit you? Was that maybe supposed to be an intended game mechanic for every character, but for some reason it only really works with Tapion and Trunks? Because what happens is you would step into a Vanish and you would have invincibility frames long enough to not get hit by the attack. I wonder if that's maybe what this change is supposed to be kind of working with, or maybe it has something weird to do with that. Or there's also another weird thing where for some characters, I've actually tested it, for some characters, but not all of them, it's most of them though, you can dash and then hold the block button and you get like another weird animation that looks like you should be invincible for it, and it's like supposed to be kind of like an extended invulnerability dash kind of thing, but it seemingly doesn't actually have any more extended invulnerability frames. I'm not sure. Maybe this is something to look into, but let me know your thoughts on that. Z-Burst Dash, the amount of ki consumed when activating it has been increased. I don't really know if that was a super necessary change, but I guess that's one we're just gonna have to play with to see if that like feels a little off. But I felt like the amount of ki consumed with the Z-Burst Dash wasn't bad. It was fine. Burst Mesh, he will no longer be consumed when activating it, and instead will consume an amount based on the distance traveled. Ooh, yeah. You know what? I like that. I think that's a decent change. I think it depends on like what the rate is, like, you know, the amount based on the distance traveled. It kind of depends on how much that is, but I don't see this hurting. That's cool. Oh, changes to the Z search. Good. Z search will no longer lose track of your opponent when characters are swapped. Good. Like, that should have never happened in the first place. You will now quickly regain sight of your opponent if they enter your line of sight from the front when Z search is not locked onto them. Again, good. I don't know how many times the opponent has been literally directly in front of me, like within regular punching distance, and Z search has just simply not locked on. It is so annoying. Z counter. Okay, here we go. The input window has been shortened for Z counter. Wait, hold on. Z counter. Oh no, am I thinking of super counter? Super counter is the one where you press up and press X, right? Or is Z counter that? Hold on, I gotta look that up. Okay, yeah, I'm an idiot. Z counter is the Vanish War. Z counter is vanishing or blinking. I never ever hear it referred to as Z counter or refer to it myself as a Z counter, but Z counter is vanishing. This is going to be important. The input window has been shortened. That's okay, that's not the issue with it, but whatever. Z counter will become more difficult to perform if performed consecutively. In what regard? Like, that doesn't give me enough information to like go off of. Like, is it more difficult as in the input window is shortened the more times you consecutively do it? Is the ki consumed more? Is the timing different? Like, what does that mean? Ki consumed has been increased when successfully performing a Z counter. All right, fair. And then skill count increase speed has been reduced when successfully performing a Z counter. Okay. I'm not personally a super big fan of these changes, all depending on the second point there. The second point being Z counter will be more difficult to perform if performed consecutively. Depending on what that means, I could either really like this change or really not like it. If you guys have been following this game, I imagine you have heard of or maybe even done the survey that was like asking the players what they thought about the game and like what things could be changed. And for the Z counter specifically, I personally gave 2 ideas on what could make the Z counter better. Now, I'm going to say right off the bat, I don't really mind the Vanish Wars. I'm personally not a super big like not fan of it. Like I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm not like not a fan of it. I think they were okay. I can definitely see how they were annoying, but like I wasn't like kicking my chair and throwing my controller every time I got in a Vanish War. Like it just wasn't that serious for me. But the suggestions that I suggested for it were to increase the speed of the Vanish Wars with each consecutive one performed, or to like exponentially increase the amount of ki consumed with each consecutive Z counter performed. I don't really know if this point is doing either of those. I think this is just going to be like a thing we have to go in and test and see. I do agree Z counter was a problem, so like I think this is probably a good change. I don't like, this is not transparent enough for me, just looking at it and reading. I don't know what everyone else thinks about that, but that's what I think. Now, interestingly here, revenge counter is the next point, and it says skill count consumed when using perception against the revenge counter has been reduced from 2 to 1. So I don't think I actually knew this, but what this is saying is when you use a revenge counter, it takes 2 meters, and then you basically like revenge counter any hit that was hit against you, and you go into your own little counter attack. Now, against the revenge counter, you can hit perception, your perception button, and like revenge counter their revenge counter basically. And I really like that system. It's really fun. It's pretty easy to react to. You can definitely read it out of your opponents, then get a dope little cutscene, react to it, get a punish on them. I didn't know that using perception against the revenge counter ever took 2 bars. I thought it always took 1 bar of meter to do that. So that's really interesting, but I think this is definitely a good change. I think it never should have cost 2. Like, that is insane. It should definitely reward the player who perceptioned against their revenge counter rather than the player who, like, it shouldn't be an even trade is what I'm saying. It should have always favored the person who, like, pressed the button in time and never favored the revenge counter in terms of, like, trade-off of materials, I guess. Rush attacks during sparking mode. A gradual damage reduction of consecutive hits has been increased. All right, I think that's a great change. Combos. The final attack of aerial combos and aerial slash combos will no longer be interrupted by guarding. That's great. Yeah, that's great. So I wonder then, it's not interrupted by guarding. I wonder if you can still squeak in a perception in that time frame though. Because a lot of times if you're holding guard, you can also just hold perception and sometimes get off with Sonic Splay. So I wonder if it's going to be the same kind of thing with perception. Character switch. Health recovery rate of standby characters has been reduced. Great, I like that change. I don't think the character switching system right now is as perfect as it could be. Honestly, I would like something kind of similar to similar to fighters, where you could like manually switch in an opponent's character, or like maybe even something where I could monitor the health of my opponent's characters that are not switched in, just something a little bit like that. I don't know. What do you guys think about that in the comments? But anyway, our last thing here for this section is the Z burst dash of giant characters. The tackle done by giant characters during a Z burst dash is now guardable. Good. Yeah, no, that's good. I have luckily not had to fight many giant characters online. I usually just fight them against my friend. And that's a good change because giant characters are annoying and they really shouldn't be that good. And now we are getting into our next section, which is the skill adjustments. First off, skills that cause instant sparking mode. The skill count consumed has been increased. Round of applause. That was a good change. Definitely needed to happen. I would have also possibly liked to see maybe the amount of time it takes to enter instant sparking mode, that be increased, just so it's a little bit easier to punish. But I'll take that. I think that's a good start. Skills that increase stats in general, the skill count consumed has been decreased. Also, again, round of applause. That's a good change. That increases and like buffs in this game are basically non-existent because at top level play, you don't want to waste the skill count to use them because you can just have better options. Like you can use revenge counters, you can use instant sparking for a lot of top level play. So I'm glad that that's getting a little bit of love. I think there needs to be a little bit more in terms of like stat increases and stuff, because still I don't really imagine that being used too much, but I think that is a good change. Here we go. I think this is going to be the big one of the patch. After image strike. The effect duration has been reduced to 10 seconds and will be removed if your opponent uses perception while you are under the effect. Okay, so that is assuming I have on after image strike, which I never do because fuck after image strike. I will never use that ever in my life. So the effect duration of after image strike before this was 15 seconds, and I don't think it was ever removed. I could be wrong about that, but I think like you had to use it to remove the effect. So you could like effectively kind of stack it. I could be completely wrong about that, and if I am, I do apologize, but regardless, I do know it was 15 seconds beforehand. So a 5-second decrease, you know, that was a what, 35% decrease, 33 I guess. That's pretty good. I'll take that. And also, it's removed if your opponent uses perception while you're under the effect. So basically, if you put on Aftermath Strike and start throwing hands, if your opponent uses perception, no, you don't got Aftermath Strike anymore. Which also removes Aftermath Striking with a perception, which thank God, because that is so annoying. Like, why do I get punished for being better? Like, for real. I still feel like Aftermath Strike is going to be insanely powerful, especially for those big, like, AoE ball type ultimates. Like, Aftermath Strike is still probably just going to be teleporting all around them. I don't know. I don't know if that's going to be that big of a deal, but at least it's getting some nerfs, which is good. The False Courage skill count has been increased from 1 to 2. That's okay. False Courage was just a massive defense boost. That's a decent change. I think I don't really ever use characters with False Courage or like use it personally, so I'm not too familiar with it, but I don't know, that seems fair, I guess. Technique, all I need is 5 seconds. Skill count consumed has been increased from 3 to 2. Has been increased from 3 to 2? That's not right. And stats increase upon activation has been increased. What is that one? I don't remember that effect. I don't know what this move does. This one's a little bit weird, saying it's been increased from 3 to 2, which is strange. So I don't know, maybe if you use this technique or this move ever, like, let me know in the comments if that's a good change or if that's like, or if what it does, I don't know. And the final thing in this section though is Stardust Barrier. You can now activate it while receiving melee attacks from the front. That's good. That's only a move that Gogeta can use. But honestly, I think Stardust Barrier was really dookie doo-doo dog water awful. So I'm okay with that getting a boost, even though it is for Gogeta. And now we're pretty much moving into all of our character-specific changes. So that is effectively the entire list of patch notes. But let's go ahead and get into some of these character changes. And first off here, we actually just have a general thing. Long-range blast and ultimate blast speed has been reduced. That is good for certain characters and really bad for other characters, because there are some ultimate moves that take years to fire out and are super easy to react to. But I do think in general that is a good change, just being able to react to more ultimates and long range blasts. I think that's good. So now we get into our character stuff. Super Vegito, final Kamehameha, ki consumed and damage has been increased. Goku Mini Quick Rush trajectory has now been changed while rushing. Mr. Satan Present Bomb, increased ending lag after activation. Yeah, that's fair. That's the only one I have like real experience with, and like Mr. Satan's Present Bomb was I mean, it's not a crazy good move. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but like that shit is like a homing missile. It will hit you anywhere on the map, and you can just hit it and then charge key and then do it again, because it has basically no end lag. So I think that's really good. For Android 19 and Dr. Jiro, the health and key amount absorbed on successful grabs has been adjusted. It doesn't say adjusted higher or lower. I would assume lower, but okay. And also Dragon Dash, Quick Ascent, Quick Descent now consume key. Cell second form, you can now escape the throw. Oh, so it's not unblockable anymore. Okay. Well, I guess untechable, not unblockable. It's a grab, it's a throw. For Cooler, the amount of health restored upon transforming has been increased. Oh, that's just regular Cooler, not Metal Cooler. Okay, I'm okay with that. Giant characters increased the time it takes to charge Smash Attack and reduced its power. Great Ape Vegeta and Dr. Wheelo, maximum health has been reduced. And other, we have improved performance and ease of use. And that is all of the balance changes. So now, I think these balance changes are pretty good. It's absolutely a step in the right direction, 100%. Now, what I will say is I feel like for a good majority of these, it's kind of something I just need to play with to see if they're like super impactful or not. But I can already pinpoint like a few of them that I really like, I really support. And honestly, I think this is a really good trajectory for Sparking Zero, because they had that like player survey. They did seemingly take some of our requests. The game is not going to be perfect. There's still a lot of things I would like to have changed, but I think this is definitely 100% a great step for online play. But let me know what you guys think about these patch notes in the comments. Let me know if you disagree with any of my takes. Let me know what you would have liked to see that they maybe didn't include, stuff like that. And if you have watched all this way into the video and are possibly new to my channel, go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe, because I will be making more Sparking Zero content if you guys do want to see that. But with that being said, that is going to be all from me. Like the video if you like it, subscribe if you really liked it. Thanks for watching, and I will see you gamers in the next video. Peace.